What's going on? It's LBS, and this is the Break It Down show.
Yes, LBS. Lil Boss Steven is a Bay Area rapper. He's from all over the Bay Area, having grown up in Benicia and Vallejo, our hometowns, and currently a resident of the Biggity Biggity, with rap influences and musical influences that run the gamut. So before we get started, I want to acknowledge that he's here, and we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Sly and the Family Stone's album Riot Going On. So shout out to Sly, who's been on the show, and Greg Arrigo, my favorite drum influence, who's also been on the show, for giving us that seminal album and sawing beautiful acts that know how to get down with a focus on the funk like Steven does. So let's get started, man. Where did it all begin for you? Tell me about your rap origin.
Okay, well, first it definitely didn't start with rap. It's like my dad taught me very much about music. Like the whole family was very musically inclined.
Yeah.
And he's raised me since I was 2 years old. So it's not my real blood dad. So they almost had a natural gift for it. And it's almost like I felt like I had to fight for the to get musically talented. They're
fight
like,
for the
Steven
gift.
Doesn't have rhythm. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll show you, you know. And they could all sing and I cannot sing. Well, I mean, sure, you know, I'd try to develop it. Maybe I could, but I can't for the most part. But he was great at it, you know. So I was like, okay, once I found out I could write lyrics, it was off and running. Because then that was one thing that the whole family necessarily hadn't done, was writing lyrics. So they pick up an instrument, hear a note, you know. And then I ended up picking up instruments. So it's like probably about 7, 8 years old, I want to say. That's when I started picking up guitars, drum, bass, keyboard, just the very basics, you know what I'm saying? We started forming bands, more or less punk bands. And then lyrics kind of took off. I wrote lyrics for a ska band, Sex Monster. I was probably 11 years old, you know, 12 years old. By 13 is when I wrote my first rap.
Okay.
So I was listening up until that point. Rap wasn't, you know, a big influence. And then I heard Mac Dre. And at the time of my life being 13, up until that point, I heard rap was like Tupac and Eminem and stuff. And I couldn't necessarily understand the animosity yet, or hadn't grown enough to understand the life lessons and things they were talking about yet. And so when he was talking about partying, Mac Dre was more or less like, all I ever want to do is party, catch me at the club trying to holler at somebody. So I wrote a rhyme. My first rhyme was, drop the extra paper for the Henny because it's worth it. Got a warm burning feeling. Let me know it's worth the purchase. Ain't nobody hurting. Got the whole team perking. And the BZ tried to lace me, but I said I'm busy working. So at young, I was also getting into trouble at this time. And but they kind of went hand in hand.
But let's pause for a minute because I want to acknowledge your musical roots because, man, I love to hear the musical diversity in your cultivation. Also shout out to Marco Santos. Yeah, man. And the fact that you started with music and then brought music to rap and the two came together. And then I also have to shout out Andre because we grew up on the same street. Because he lived on Granada Street before he lived in the Crest. And so, you know, from age we moved on that street when I was 8, he was 7. So yeah, we, you know, followed his career, of course. And then as a seminal artist in the Bay Area, and of course the legend that he created before we lost him too young, is still having its influence on artists like you now. So I appreciate that. And then I also wanted to just acknowledge that your first rap lyric was a celebration of quality alcohol, not just getting perved, but like, hey, let's step it up a little bit here. So I think that's, you know, I mean, yeah, you're probably a little too young to write that lyric, but it's a good lyric.
Right. Yeah.
So what?
It actually wasn't my first rap. In second grade, I did a rap, but the musical influences before that, because I want to touch on what you just on. Like my dad, Marco Santos, thank you for all that. But like from Led Zeppelin to funk to like I was just telling you before the interview, from Beethoven to Sly and the Family Stone, most definitely.
Vallejo,
Ray Charles, all the way back to Etta James. So very music is everything to me. It's not just rap. It happens to be my best way to put it in the outlet form.
For now, even. I mean, at this point in your career, you may develop something else and decide. I mean, who knew that Dave Grohl was going to be the guitar player for the Foo Fighters for 27 years? You know, when he was the drummer for Nirvana, we were enamored of that.
just like people are listening to you now as your musical stylings evolved. Yeah, I mean, you could go anywhere.
Yeah.
You certainly sounds like musically you've been everywhere, so you could go anywhere you want now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are you into right now as you develop your career? What are you listening to? Where do you find inspiration? What are you up to?
Well, I've literally designed what I call rap school, and it's because rap comes, you know, it's poetry, but with the beat added to it. So taking all the roots of alliteration and like poetical devices and literary devices from novelists, basically. So that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from. Is more of like the actual craft of it, and then the roots of hip hop. So I studied every MC like that would be considered the greats, but who made like how did Eminem become Eminem? Who was he listening to become Eminem?
Okay,
it's like all the way back to like, of course, I opened up for Rakim, which is awesome, but
wow,
that was like huge for me, right? Because, for him to change music the way that he did, yeah, I'm trying to do the same impact again for hip hop. So I will do like 12-hour writing days generally, and I'll go through. At some point, I probably want to sell the way I do the whole process, so I won't break down everything of how I do it. But
sure,
I have like a certain couple 3-4 hours where I'll do a metaphor alliteration or metaphors, and then this will be alliteration. Then I'll do a speed test, and then I'll compile massive amounts of material, right up to 12 hours a day. And then I'll be able to construct it. So if I need 16 bars and I need this many metaphors, and that's just for the wordplay. I've separated my styles into 3 styles. So LBS is my fast lyrical. It's basically like the monster of rap, and this represents my past, present, and future as well. So Sativen's my old hyphy party style. And that's
who appreciates hand.
The Mac Dre, like I think life's about a party. I haven't yet developed yet, and I'm just like, all I want to do is party, basically. And then that's my adolescence, and then I grow into LBS, which is more or less like life needs to have a meaning. You have to make purpose out of life, but I'm still fighting against, right? I'm like, everybody else is the enemy, the industries of this, and I'm fighting against, not yet realizing that the fight was within. So when I started this journey in the last like 5 years, I pretty much made it a consistent to do some type of self-development book a day. So it's either philosophy, psychology, whatever it is. So I went through hundreds of books in the last 4 years. Audiobooks most of the time, because while I'm working, I'm able to put it in my head.
You're consuming.
That's the oracle. That'll be my future. And I'm trying to take philosophy and the self-development and personal development and put it into music, because I feel it's lacking in hip-hop. That style, the LBS style is the fast lyrical one that I was telling you about. I do the 12 hours of writing because it's really like the epitome of bars. So, for example, Eminem did the Godzilla song. So I'll be like, I'll do his speed for 2 minutes straight, and then the last 30 minutes I'll go faster than his record. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just trying to keep up, I'm like, I want him LBS to be like the monster of all bars, but like I said, it's still a fight against. And the oracle is more or less the future of who I want to be, because at the end of the day, I want to use whatever platform I can get myself to have a platform to speak about, and I give a message to kids and have them follow their dreams, and that's my main focus, is to help people.
But in order to do that, right now you've created a training program, because this is a, when we were growing up, I mean, rappers were just figuring out the art form. So there was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of the stuff that you have in the adolescence, the age group, but to actually have a specific training program to give yourself a set of tools that's superior to everybody else's, so that your message, this is a really fascinating thing for me. And honestly, I didn't expect this much process from you. So this is really fascinating, man. As you develop these things, you're consuming all this content. I mean, it's a lot to take in, and there's more content now that's available. I mean, when I was growing up, I couldn't throw an audiobook in my ear while I did some mundane task to put food on the table.
Absolutely.
You're able to do these things that elevate your ability to communicate. So what, talk about some of those influences. Like, what are you consuming that you're really into?
Okay. Your phone, first off, is not a tool for distraction like people use it. It's a manifestation device to have you follow your dreams. Like, if every time somebody's scrolling through Instagram, but you're promoting your business on Instagram, or every time somebody's watching videos, you're watching personal development videos, you know what I'm saying, of how to make my business better, then it's like, eventually time's going to be on your side. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the best. Like, and also with getting up earlier and stuff like that is also a big thing. Like, I'm very avid on like getting up before, like, it's like work while the competition, sleeping. Type mentality. Yeah, I kind of lost my train.
This kid is speaking my language. I don't know. I'm curious though, of all the, I mean, you're studying philosophy, you're studying right now. Who's influencing you? Like, who are you listening to that making sense to you?
So a lot of people say maybe have an existentialist type mindset, like Friedrich Nietzsche. But that's not true, because I definitely believe that there's some type of God, and there's more purpose. Like, they believe that there is no meaning to life and you have to add meaning. Well, I believe that there is already meaning to life, but you also have to add meaning. So you have to make meaning out of life, because good and evil is everybody has a different idea of what good and evil would be, right? Because my perception of good and evil would be different than someone else's. But if somebody could fathom the best version of good in their life, it's material, spiritual, physical, like goals for their life, that's the best good they can imagine. If they strive towards that, once they grow, they'll be able to imagine another level of good and be able to push forward. So if it comes to personal development, I like Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn. I like, and then if it comes to psychologists, it's Carl Jung, Friedrich Nietzsche. If it comes to philosophers, it's I definitely love Aristotle's and Socrates' work. I mean, I love the
Stoics
of the pit of the cave. But more or less, books are kind of like what changed my life. Waldo S. Emerson, his whole composition of essays changed my life. I'm more avid on because out of all these books, I probably found like 10 that I would suggest that are life changing, like Richest Man in Babylon, Think and Grow Rich, As a Man Thinketh. How
do you think those books? How do you think they translate? Because I mean, Think and Grow Rich, Richest Man in Babylon. That's an old book. Yeah. Think and Grow Rich was like Napoleon Hill wrote that in like 1922 or something.
Right. Absolutely. Well, if you trace it back, I mean, it comes fundamentally from back down to Socrates, and I believe that each person figure out, like, if I find someone that has the same moral compass that I do, and they were able to find success, like Tony Robbins, for example, like that would be a life worth living. If I could help feed 500 million families and have a life like him, I might not be that level of good, but that's something that I can aim for, So I believe like his philosophy, and I've basically I believe what he has to say. So then who he listened to, just like I did with hip hop, tracing it back to the roots. Then I trace it back to the roots of that train of thought, and that way of that mindset of perception is like literally everything, So there's manifestation, but then manifestation without works is dead. There's like, the books like The Secret, don't mean to like slander it, but there's a lot of people that preach you go out to your yard and there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, and there's no weeds, you got to go pluck those.
You do.
But be grateful that God gave you a garden to pluck them.
That's right.
So it's like they go hand in hand. I believe every person should do that. I think religion itself, it's like, religion is the study of spirituality. And so when Isaac Newton discovered gravity or whatever, there's parts that he was wrong about, you know what I mean? But they take the contradiction and discard it. They take the part he was right with, and it becomes a part of science.
And move forward with it. Religion. That's right.
So like if you take Eastern philosophy and Western philosophy, there's like transcendental meditation that's super beneficial, but it's maybe not prevalent out here. But because it's beneficial and I can apply it to my life, I consider it a truth. So it's almost like I'll go through philosophies or religious texts or psychologists, and the contradictions that don't align with my moral compass, kind of discard them. But I'm like, oh, that's a fascinating idea. Opposed to it,
we can use that.
Something that I think is a truth. Let me apply it to my life, and if I apply it to my life, I get good results. And if I get good results, then I know it's a truth, and then I trust that whoever I listened and got the message from, right?
All right. So I'm curious to know, man, we're like 10 minutes in and we've already gone deep. I really appreciate this, man. Right. And I honestly didn't expect it. I didn't think we would go here, but since we're here, what about your practices has changed based on that influence? Like, if you are studying TM, how do you actively meditate every day? Do you give yourself meditation time? Do you?
So generally it would be like a 4 a.m. and then what I call get into state. So I'd put a 30-minute alarm clock on. And then instead of waking up and thinking about all your stresses, because if you think about your stresses, you'll be in the familiar past will become your predictable future, right?
Yes.
So you think about all your stresses, then that's all you'll see for the rest of the day. So the moment you wake up, I put an alarm clock on for 30 minutes. I go back to sleep, but not really sleep, almost in a meditative state, doing breath work. And I say what I'm grateful for, or sometimes I have to change whatever's going to give me the juice at the time.
Right.
Like
so gratitude exercise is good, but you switch it up.
It
so
depends, because sometimes you start running through the motions. So gratitude might get me on fire for a week, and then I'm like, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for my bed. I'm grateful for my mom. And you start running through the motions as a habitual process, as instead of feeling those.
Okay.
So when you're going back to bed, it's almost like you're not worried about work or anything, and you feel comfortable because you're back in the blanket and you're like, I feel good, you know. Oh, I'm happy about this, and you find out. Like I said, I'll tweak it depending on what I need more juice for. Like there's a lot of stresses. I'll be like, I use that for fuel. But anyway, I'll use a moment to where I can get back into a calm state upon re-waking up. And then I do what's called a Wim Hof breathing exercise, but after getting alkaline. So I get water and a lemon water, because the first thing, you want to do is put water, and if you put a lime or lemon, it'll make you alkaline, and that's good in the first thing in the morning. So you get a lot more energy that way. And even at 4 or whatever, it's basically about what psychology can you use that's going to trigger you to be able to fight through the, like, I don't want to get up, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But I get alkaline, get hydrated, and I do what's called a Wim Hof breathing exercise. And I'm a big believer of that. Since I've done it in the last 2 years consistently, I have not yet get sick. So knock on wood.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a breathing exercise that you do. And it helps oxygenize your whole body, and almost immediate anxiety relief. And then I'll go in to write a plan, because once I get into state, now I can write out successfully what I truly want.
You have clarity.
Yeah, instead of being in survival mode, or I'm in creation mode.
Right.
And then I'll go on through, depending on which style that I'm trying to work on. Like if I'm doing the LBS, then I know that I'm doing from 4 a.m. to 5:30 or whatever. It'll be metaphors. So I'm literally coming up with as many possible metaphors, and I'll stack those. And then the next couple hours will be alliteration, or I'll have a therapeutic one where I'm saying where this is the problem, and then have the oracle answer it. This is the solution. So I'll do exercises, so I'm constantly keeping my pen sharp.
Yeah.
But then when it comes time to make a record, I kind of combined it all and then focus on content. Also, when I rap now, I usually come up with the melody first. If you're a first-time writer, I would suggest focus on content. Like, what are you saying is the most important thing. Figure out how to make what you want to say rhyme. But now sometimes I'll have too many rhymes where it's the same thing, like never duplicated, imitated. Same word, 3, so once you get to that level, I feel like you can, if you hear a beat, you want to come, am I coming percussion? Am I going to be a synth? You're an instrument on top of the beat. And so I'll figure out the melody. Like, how do I want to rap it? They want to spit it like a trip in a missile, like a rip in a pencil, like it with the pen. Like, that's the way I'm going to come at it. And then I'll come back and refill it in with content and metaphors and alliterations and stuff. And it's, yeah. So you're creating building blocks. Yeah. And then you can use those building blocks, and now you're a lyrical architect. Right. And then the basis of hip hop, in order to be considered an MC, you had to have flow, delivery, style, cadence, content. Like, there were some rules pretty much that you had to have of like once it started to get formulated, but it's like to be a dope MC. And it's basically, they took poetic devices and literary devices and put them to beats, So if you were using metaphors, and if you're using and your content is rich, and and a lot of that from like Cool G Rap and all of the ones who paved the way and really made hip hop the way it is, Yeah. Talk about some of your favorites. If you were to go sort of through the eras of hip hop. Go through the eras. Yeah. Identify some of your favorites through the eras. Rakim. Yeah. KRS-One. Big Daddy Kane. Yeah. Then like Cool G Rap, of course. And then Big Pun, Big L. Coming into the next generation, but I'm only doing like New York right now. Yeah. I know. You could do segments of the country. Yeah, exactly. And they go to Chicago, like Twista, and then the Detroit's, the Royce, the 5 9s and stuff. So I want to give this a framework though. What did you like about Big Pun? Big Pun is literally my favorite MC ever. Period. Really? Yes. Okay. But he wouldn't be Big Pun if there wasn't a Cool G rap.
Right.
Like he got like all of the framework
Yeah.
from Cool G. So I can't like, so I'm saying
everybody does it on somebody's back, you know?
And I can't fully say Big Pun's my favorite MC, but if it wasn't for Rakim and it wasn't for the the people before him, so Rakim's my favorite MC then. Well, then is it Cool G rap though, because he kind of had that gangster rap before and still keeping it multisyllabic like before everyone else was. Like,
but what I'm saying is when you your love for Big Pun, what's that about?
Multisyllabic rhyme schemes and he took you outside of this world. Like he'll talk about like battling Jesus. If he passes through my label, I'm snatching his halo. God, I'll trade you back if you send my father back as an angel.
Yeah.
Like language is fatal. And then not to mention like the multisyllabic rhyme scheme, because up until that point, like Tretch, I was like Tretch out right before.
Tretch.
Oh, in the rap school, I do I designed like, okay, Tretch is what we're studying all month long. Or I'm doing, and then it got to when I do 2 at a time, Chino XL and 2, but anyway, it was Tretch all month.
Yeah.
And then on the Tretch radio, Big Pun for the first time I heard Big Pun ever, and it was in the middle a little, you feel me? Did that rhyme scheme? What? Like, and he, the next month was Big Pun, and from then, I think because he could do commercial, he could do every style, but keep it hardcore and keep the fundamentals of hip hop in there.
He was always Big Pun,
man, and Big Pun really changed the game for me.
Okay,
Shout
keep
out Chris
going.
Rivers, by the way, we got to do something at the World MC competition with Chris Rivers, and he actually still keeps in contact. Shouts him, it's Big Pun's son. So
Cool.
Chris.
All right.
So then let's go back into the next couple years. So then we got like the Crooked Eye, Royce the 5'9". Like that's the next generation of like MCs that really did it. Pushed it up. Black Thought. I don't know how I'm neglecting Black Thought. I feel like I'm gonna miss a lot of people. Caleb Kweli, when it comes to conscious. So then I got like, that's the same segments. Like, where do I get my conscious music from? Would be a lot of like Black Thought, Caleb Kweli, Mos Def, and then those cats,
Yeah.
And then where do I get my like hardcore bars, hip hop, then like the Slaughterhouse era, like with the Crooked Eye. Like Crooked Eye, that's what I'm wearing right now. It's my song with Crooked Eye, Eminem's artist from Shady Records / the Cash Cow. But that was another like huge milestone for me. And then going into like I guess the newer MCs, King ISO, I really like what King ISO's done. I got to work with Khan, K-A-A-N, Knowledge Above All Nonsense, one of my favorite too. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, you lost me. I don't know about Con.
Yeah.
What about as you take all these building blocks, man, you're developing this game in a way that's a lot different from everybody else. Everybody else comes at it like, I got songs, I'm going to write a song.
Right.
And then eventually you get good at it because you just pounded the pavement enough times. It's like, just to take it to a different discipline, we talk about architecture. Not everybody studies math. Some people study the building from the top down, for instance, or, not everybody studies the swing. They just go out and play baseball until they get good at it. Right.
And actually that's how it started for me. So from 13 to literally 28 now. So up until 5 years ago. Yeah. So up until 5 years ago, I was like, this wasn't a career path for me. So I was just writing, like you said, every day in and day and write out. And I had some good songs and I was developing good. But then when I started taking it to this level, it's like I really started developing, really changing.
Yeah.
Quick too.
Well, now what in your mind triggered that? Because you're now talking about an accelerant of your art form. Yeah.
A lot of bottoms.
All right.
A lot of messing up and hitting my head a bunch of times and being like, I believe that there's more for me and I'm sick of being, I was on drugs are doing bad. My boy was like, come out here. He was in the military. My boy Brock Rubel, shout out, to come out here and get right. And that was like, I had
where was that?
Port Hueneme out in LA. So like LA area. So I had reprieves where I'd get right for a little bit and then kind of fall off. But this was kind of like the cementing point. And I was like 22, and I was living there and I was still just trying to get my bearings, but I knew I'm not going back to doing anything stupid anymore. Like there's more for me. And
you reached a turning point.
Right. And then I just dove into music. Like I just dove into music because I was also really into fitness and I had got a hernia. So I couldn't work out. And that was keeping me off.
Wow.
Trouble or out of trouble and stuff. So I'm like, Okay. Music. Like I'm not going back to that, and I put everything in the music and just like kind of so I'm gonna write my way out.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And then it wasn't. Yeah, went to about 4.5 years ago.
So you really did hit a turning point, and you channeled it all into the pen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But man, this is such a unique approach, though, that you're taking. I mean, I am into fitness as well, and I train at the best gym in the world.
Yeah.
And my coach's name is Ted O'Neill, and he's revolutionary. But what you're talking about when you talk about how you develop the things you need to develop to be the superior lyricist, I don't know anybody who's ever had this approach. And this reminds me of the approach at the gym. Everything that we do there is focused on, there's all the building blocks. You build the building blocks and then you build. Absolutely. With the building blocks. Did that come from fitness, or did that come from where did that originate, man? You had to
fitness, but then I went and got some personal. Okay, I'm like, let's do this. So I went to the library and got a bunch of books on what is hip hop, like a rock hymn book. Like I wanted to know outside of the Bay, because I completely neglected, and I'm sorry for all the Bay Area artists and West Coast artists that I neglected, but that was like my roots.
Well, we just haven't gotten there yet.
Snoop Dogg, the E40s, I shout out all of them. You know what I mean? But I needed to figure out outside my bubble. Yeah. And so I went. You went to LA,
man. My favorite rapper is Charlie Tuna.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was able to, and I got some personal self-development books, like personal development books, and I just made it like a point. Like I read some things in there, and I'm like, okay. They was talking about. I would never forget it. I was in like the EBT office trying to get some food stamps out in LA, right? Like in my living with my
just friend. Trying to eat.
Right. And help out on his end, because he let me stay out there and get right. So I remember having this personal development book in there in the EBT office, and I'm reading it, and it's talking about the pessimist is usually more accurate, but the optimist tends to see himself doing better than he did, so he keeps trying and then actually,
gets things done.
Dreams. So one's more fulfilled, the other one's more logical. I'm like, I'll choose fulfillment.
What book is this?
I don't know.
Okay,
it's been washed up, but since then I'm like, I like.
But it had an important message. It hit home with you.
My boy who just got out of the military was doing the same stuff that I was. Okay, he was like, "Hey, listen to this E.T. Eric Thomas. There's another motivational speaker, and it was just the right timing. Everything kind of came together right timing. I wrote the song, "The World Is Yours." I took it to the biggest open mic in LA, and they loved it. And it was like, okay, maybe I have something here, and this shouldn't be just a fun party thing, Like I'm 23 years old, and I was like, I'm gonna do something with this, I'm gonna decide to do something with this.
Okay.
And but yeah, it's more of I wouldn't say it's a one turning point. It's just like a process of like never giving up and being like, I believe more in myself.
It was the turning point that led to the turning point that led to the turning point.
Yes, because there was a bunch.
You keep creating them now.
Yeah, and I had one when I went on a bus trip out of high school. Me and my buddies bought a school bus, and we traveled across 27 states, and I got
until the wheels fell off of it.
Everything was smooth and it was awesome. But even then, I had a turning point and got right and got sober, and everything was good. And then I went back into getting in trouble.
Yeah.
So there was just finally a point to where I was like, I know I could do it, and then just stayed on there. And then now it's just evolved like crazy. And now it's like almost because I've done so much of that personal development in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It's almost like someone's like, oh, I have this issue. And I'm like, oh, here, like, this is how you can work it out. And it's become motivation is neck and neck with music as far as like selling point and what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life, like
clearly.
Yeah.
That's pristinely clear.
Part of me. Like, it's like who I am now. So it's not only because I feel like you have to know way more about the subject that you're talking about in order to express it and simplify it to someone else, and you give it to them in a good form. Right. So now it's become part of me, and I feel like I'm
if you take the mic, you're the subject matter expert.
Right.
You got to know what you're doing, know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that's what I would strongly suggest, instead of working on yourself far more than I can't say the music, because working on your craft and yourself more than anything else. And there the chips are going to fall where they may. You know what I mean? Like,
I appreciate that message.
The day before.
Yeah.
And also have it like a genie rubbed a lamp and said, what's the perfect life that you can imagine in every way? Your perfect career, your perfect soulmate, like every perfect detail, and write that, because that's going to open up like different ways of psychology of getting yourself to there. So like make that perfect life of like, this would be the life that I could choose. And then where am I at now? this is where I'm at now. And these vices that I have, if I don't nip these in the buds or whatever, then I'll never have this future. So I really want these vices more than this future. And then you find out this is where I really am and get real with yourself. But then you kind of carve like a better version of yourself. That's like this, you know, I may not be able to do it at this level of me, but this Steven can, you know? And then you try to strive towards that. And then you start becoming that. Like the more that you push and strive to becoming better mind, body, and spirit daily, like the chips fall where they may. It's not about the destination, it's who I'm becoming in the process. Like 100%. Like the man I'm becoming in the process, like psychologically with issues that come up in my life and me being able to just turn them into fuel immediately, or having my like retention time when somebody argues or yells at me and I'm able to go from anger mode to like sinner, let's get to work, you know what I mean, mode is just crazy developed from where I used to be. Like my goals back in the day would be like, let me just try to stay sober today. Yeah. And then now my goal is like, I want to try to change the world one day. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the ones that are crazy enough
starting today,
they can do it, are the ones who generally do. So it's like in my field, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to be Elon Musk. I'm not going to engineer something that might, you know,
we already have one of those.
Right. But in my field, I can give a message here and change things here. You know what I mean? So that's like, yeah. And you have to believe in yourself, and you have to make a life that's believing. Yeah. And then work it down from like build the architect perfectly, the whole structure, just like an architect does before they lay the first brick, and then figure out how to lay the very first brick, and then just lay the next brick better than you did the day before. Yeah. And slowly build your way towards that future, you know? Man, I would say that it's undeniable. You will not be denied. Oh, no. Clearly. So man, I really appreciate hearing these things, because you know, when we just met today. And I thought we were going to have a conversation about your path as a hip hop artist. We're having that conversation, but it's more than that. It's your path as a human being and this contribution that you're making and the importance. And I get that you get the responsibility, because if you take that mantle and people listen to you, you really have something to say. Yeah. It's important that you have something to say. Absolutely. And you have a way to say it that touches people. Absolutely. This approach, though, is, you know, like I said, it's unexpected, somewhat revolutionary, and I appreciate it. What does a day off look like for you? Just less workload. Yeah. Finding ways to enjoy leisure, but it's encompassed in with time, like friends and family. But then that's also okay. If you're constructing that perfect life, right? Yeah. And it's perfect in your relationships, your material goals, not just in the career itself. Mm-hmm. So if there's an opportunity, I played Scrabble with my mom last night. Like there's an opportunity to, and that's also beneficial towards the music, you know, Scrabble. It's like, you know, but anyway, that wasn't tried. But if there's a way that I can fulfill my goals with my relationships with people and stuff, that's when I find my leisure. My boys, like Tech 9 show's coming up. I'm able to go catch up with Tech 9, try to get, you know, single with him. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm with my boys and we're enjoying the time. So it's hard to Tilly Quali's at Yoshi's later this month. How to break, but it's like, why would you want to break, you know? Ooh. It's like once you start getting to hold this personal development, you start realizing that rest and stuff, it's like I want to grow. I don't know how much time I have on this life. So one, I'm going to be happy no matter what. I'm going to be stress free, and that's you know, easier said than done. Yep. But way more than I used to be, because time's limited. So I'm going to enjoy the whole process as it's going. You're choosing to be stress free now. I mean, I asked you that question as kind of a bit of a trick question. Yeah. But really, I think what I'd like for listeners to understand is that when you are mission driven like you are, and when you're focused like you are, that's when every day is a day off. Right. That's when every day is a day off. Thank you. You know, so it's like what you choose to do. I'm not surprised by your answer, because you're clearly passionate about the way that you've chosen to break down your minutes in life. Right. And that everything is pointed forward. Absolutely. So yeah, just to hear, you know, what I'd like is for the listeners out there to think, oh yeah, you know, I bet Steven, when he's when LBS is off, I bet he's you know, I bet he's chilling out, he's watching TV, sitting in the hot tub or whatever. Those things can be a part of this mission. Right. The downtime, I don't own a TV.
Yeah.
I don't watch any news or any,
Right. But your ability to decompress is not focused on like, it's not like everybody else's.
Yeah.
You have a chosen path already. It's
you could be blissful and endure pain, because if you can be the director of your life, you can watch the traumas and everything unfold, but you directed everything, right? So even though there's traumas and stuff going on, you're going to be centered and focused, and drama can go on around you. But me to be angry and upset and frustrated and hold resentment, like if I'm holding it, that person just needs to walk in front of me and I'm destroyed. You know what I mean? Because I resent them. So it's like, in order to be free from that, it's like just realizing that the blessing of life itself, like fundamentally without thoughts messing it up, like you're almost in a state of bliss. It's like when you start stressing and worrying about those thoughts, that's all you see in life. Life's perception. So if I deem running this long or doing it as something, I'm almost re-switch my incentive reward system. So like I don't find enjoyment in like watching TV and like catching up on shows like that.
Right.
Like it's not fun to me.
Yeah.
But then when I sprint, we did a lunge up a half-mile hill, walking lunges. When I do that, at the end of it, I'm like, I accomplished something badass, and that's when I'm happy.
Yeah.
Like and we do these things that we think make us happy, and it's like God disguises short-term pain for long-term happiness. The devil, on the other hand, is short-term happiness for long-term pain.
Yeah. So
it's like that distraction and all that stuff. It's like that's why work sucks, is because you were distracted.
You allow yourself to get sucked in.
Now you're like, oh fuck, now I gotta hurry up and get to work, and like that's all you see is, oh fuck, I gotta hurry. Like you have the ability, unlike animals, to choose bliss from suffering with thought alone. Like I could think a thought of a happy time that I had with my family and stuff. And you literally, your mind's like a pharmacy, and those dopamine and those serotonin levels,
you can turn them on
from literally thought alone. So if you can choose to be in bliss and thought alone, and life's limited, you only got one life, choose to be in bliss no matter what's going on. The roller coaster keeps going, but you enjoy the ride. It's how you label it. Some person might hate roller coasters, and another person loves it as a thrill. So enjoy the ride no matter what is going on.
You're on it.
If it's tragedy, because if it's tragedy, use that as fuel. How can I make this something positive? My grandpa that just passed away, man.
Oh man.
But he believed in me more than anyone, right? And so when it happened, I had my mourning, of course, and I said, I'm gonna get it for him 10 times harder now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make him proud.
Yeah.
And turning that into something positive, because that's what he wants from me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I could psychologically, if it's gonna psychologically make me better, I'm gonna use it. Even if it's not, like, it doesn't have to be so logical, because we tell ourselves lies all the time about, I'm not good enough for this. Those are a bunch of lies. So we tell yourself lies about that. Tell yourself lies about good things. You know what I'm saying? Like grandpa just graduated to the next level of life. He's there and he's watching over me, looking down. That's going to give me fuel to push forward, to be there for my family and be there for people and pursue my dream. And you know what I mean? Like, have to use the traumas as fuel, and it's like we get in our way. Our intellect is turned against us, and it's consumerism, like trying to fix the exterior world to make you interiorly happy. And it's like, if that's your mindset on everything, like
it will never work that way.
Like a man's buffeted as long as he believes himself to be the creature of outside circumstance. You know what I'm saying? And once you realize that no outside circumstance can determine my mood, and my moods and happiness, and what me being happy is like I reserve for me, and me being angry, my emotions are reserved for me. I can't let any outside circumstance, outside person, or anything affect my internal mission. And people with focus on, I feel, American society's like fix the exterior world to make the interior happy. I think we really need to focus on making the interior happy, and then we can work on the exterior afterwards.
Beautiful. Yeah. Wealthy is not the man who has the most, but the man who needs the least. I appreciate the movie simile as well, because being the director of your own movie, one of the things, like when you're doing your half-mile lunges up that hill, what I like to tune into in those moments, you got to shout out whoever took you up that hill, because when I find myself in the midst of that hill, I play the montage in my head, and it's like, now is where I'm watching this process, because I know how the movie ends.
Yeah.
You know, I get the girl, I get the happy ending, all that.
You can make it enjoyable.
That's right.
That misery.
Now I'm watching, you know, this is like Rocky running down the beach and that misery montage, you know, and it allows you to embrace it in a different way. And I appreciate that mindset. I think when it comes to the lies that we tell ourselves, like you said, you know, if we choose to create that story, craft that story out of the positive, you know, they're not necessarily lies. I mean, you know, we all philosophically and energetically live in this space that we can create.
Right. Absolutely.
So that's what you're doing.
We don't even know an atom to its fundamental, like they say it's 98% empty.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean empty?
Right.
You know? So we don't need a blade of grass to its entirety, and we come to conclusions. I feel like every conclusion that we have is almost a death in itself. You know what I'm saying? It's like we really don't know anything. So if anything's potentially limitless, right? Use something that's going to make you stronger psychologically. Come to a different conclusion. Like, how is this going to make me, if I believe in this and I believe in myself this way, is it going to make me stronger or weaker? Am I a victim or a victor? You know what I mean? In the situation, and then choose the victor path.
Yeah.
It's going to be harder, but it's so
much more rewarding.
Greener on this side with no, like, I don't have the financial, my dreams aren't fulfilled. I'm not where I need to be. Well, I'm happy every day with drama going around me and I'm working my tail off. So it's like, I feel like I'm having my cake and eat it too, and I'm not even where I need to be yet, you know? So
yeah, that's beautiful, because you are where you need to be in this part of the story.
Yes.
So what about,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, all that's, you know, people say, well, if you build it, it'll come and all that stuff, but that's an oversimplification.
Right.
And I think that really what excites me about this conversation is that you're not just, well, if I build it, it'll come.
Yeah.
You've broken it down into, well, here's how I'm going to build it so that it must come.
Right.
It's just, this is this part of the story.
Right.
You know, that part of the story is a foregone conclusion. Right. It's already happened. Absolutely. I'm just working towards it. Absolutely. So, man, that is very exciting. It also makes me, it's almost like at this point, your philosophical approach has made the music part of you not insignificant, but it's just one piece.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I already understand that where you've come in your 20s, I'm now 52 years old. Where you've come in your 20s, am I 52? I'm not yet 52. I'm almost 52. I'll be 52 pretty soon. You know, I heard you say this earlier before we turn the cameras on, but you know, when you see somebody who in their youth gets it a little differently than you did, and you think, man, I wish I would have got it like that. Boy, how much further along I would be if I had gotten it that way. So I just want to make sure that you don't discount, and I know you don't, but I'm saying this for the benefit of our viewers. I want to make sure you don't discount how much you get it now, because at this point, your building blocks are creating joy for you. That joy is going to be limitless, and it's going to spill out of you onto everybody else. Absolutely. As you continue on. So
that's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's going to happen musically and then artistically, and who knows what ways, you know, probably ways you haven't even tried yet.
Yeah. Well, I've always said, like, I wanted to use music as the tool to get my platform to really get to that oracle stuff that I was telling you about, future stuff and the personal development stuff that we're talking about right now, you know, and put that into craft and just put it in music in general.
Yeah.
You know? It's like people need to hear that stuff in hip hop music, I feel.
Well, they need to hear it first in hip hop music, and then, you know, and then everywhere else. I mean, you're describing a path too that others have done in different ways, because a lot of the people we pay attention to, you know, they have an achievement that we appreciate, and then they write a book about how they did it, and you're already crafting the content of that book as you're doing the thing. So, you know, at this point, Jay-Z could write a book, and, you know, everybody who writes a book, they look back.
Yeah.
And you have this thing where you say, well, I'm not looking back. This is what I've been looking at the whole time.
Right.
So Man, I appreciate that. I don't even have a question. I'm just marveling at the fact that you're formulating it all together at this point.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. What else are you interested in? If music,
developing mind, body, and spirit daily.
Yeah, daily.
Mind be better than mind, body. If you develop, okay, the Stoic philosophy says that success isn't the outcome; it's how much effort you put in. So I was talking to
Pete, Doug. We're live in front of a studio audience.
Talking to Doug earlier about there was a show that I had performed and I didn't do my best, but the crowd loved it.
Okay.
And I'm like, that wasn't a success because it's not about the outcome. It's about the effort you put in. That's what they say in Stoic philosophy. So if I didn't do my best, it wasn't a success, no matter even if I won an award for it or I got a bunch of money for it. It was not a success because I didn't do my best.
Yeah.
And then if I did my fully best, but let's just say I completely bombed and everyone booed the whole stage, I'm like, I did my best, so I was a success no matter what. And if people live that way, it's like because then your happiness is in the hands of other people.
Right.
You can't let that happen.
Yeah, you know? you've internalized
to be in charge of your happiness because you have the ability to do so. Separate from animals, you know what I mean? Like animals suffer when pain's inflicted on them. We suffer from thought alone.
Yeah,
but we can also feel bliss from thought alone, and happiness and ecstasy from thought alone. You know, yeah.
So in your meditative practices, I mean, I know we bounce around here, but you keep touching on your, your daily improvement in your meditative practices. When you get in state, what are you exploring?
I consider when I say mind, body, and spirit, I consider that anything that you create to be like almost your soul, like spiritual. So like when I write music, I feel that that's spirit. Like I'm amplifying spirit. Meditation also falls in spirit. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to meditation, I've done different forms of meditation from lucid dreaming to open eye meditation. But really, I'm a firm believer like breath work and because you can't, when you meditate, people try, I feel really to like not think of anything. Like you can't really do that. You know? You want to have an intention for everything needs to have an intention. The focus is on breath of like healing and relaxing. Everything is focused on getting yourself into a state of mind. So I have a different practice. Like if I'm trying to relax, I'll do a lucid dreaming set of breathing exercises where I'm focused on every muscle from every breath out, is slowly relaxing all the way down until I'm in a calm state. And then if I have to prepare for something that I need to be and I'm tired and I need to get up, I'll have more of a intention set to I'll relieve stress with breath work, kind of get into state and then set intention to where it's like like mantras and stuff like that. At that point, like this is how this is gonna go. Like and then visualize it happening that way and then strive towards making that happen. I'm really big on breath work. And then, like I said, anything you're creating that drives you, if you do anything, music or whatever, that's your spirit. That is your spirit. When you're jamming with the whole band together like that, and then mind, I think you need to feed your mind every day and stand guard in the gates of your mind. Because your best friend might accidentally drop a strychnine in your coffee and you didn't even know it, but from a thought, right? It's a thought, not metaphorically. Yeah. And you drink it, and you believe in the way what he said, and a stranger could say something that can completely change your life. So like your mind is sensitive to what is being said to it, right? And so you have to feed it daily with something positive that's better than like who you are. You know what I'm saying? So every morning, like I'll listen to a philosopher or a psychologist or something that's going to get me from the way I'm thinking now to somebody who's had where I had and became successful from it. Like that's a lot of things. Like people who had nothing and became successful, I'll study their program, Yeah.
You're really concentrated on nourishing yourself in the morning.
And feed your mind, body, and spirit. So you have to put something positive in your mind every single day, learn something, grow on your craft. You have to do something that's good for the soul. There's meditative practice, whether it's like maybe you just like going on the walks, or you like drawing or painting, like doing something that that you're creating, because I feel like creating is spirit. And then body, work out. Make sure you work out, eat good.
Yeah. Take care of yourself. Yeah. You got this one vehicle too. It's going to take you places, and you have like you said, a limited amount of time. Yeah. So getting the most out of every day means you also have to elongate the number of days.
Work out. Yeah.
So
and and get up at the same time, go to sleep at the same time, get the don't know if I'm saying it right, circadian rhythms, I think they're called, proper, you know what I mean? Because that helps a lot. Like, just, you know, making these things habits, making the personal development, the working out, the working on your craft, the believing in yourself, the confidence muscle. These are like muscles you're working out, and focus on, like, if I'm not confident, then I'm gonna look at who are the most confident people in the world, study them, Muhammad Ali's, and like the people who like were overly confident because you're not feeling confident, you know? So use yourself like a video game. That's a good analogy. And you're adding stats to it. Like, okay, I'm not very good here. Who are the best in the world at this?
Yeah.
How can I connect the dots, you know? Don't just study all positive. Like I'll listen to Art of War at the same time I'm listening to the Tao Te Ching. So it's like the Buddhist and then how to conquer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So they're hand in hand. So I know the enemy.
Yeah.
I know how to be during it, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So since you've studied all this stuff and you bring these things up, you have the contrasting, like you said, you're doing Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching, and if you're doing these things at the same time, what's it doing inside your head? I mean, this building block. It seems like, I think what I'm getting after is like, what are you trying to do to these building blocks, man? If you're bringing in these competing philosophies.
I think that's why, because I'm not gonna, because if I listen to 48 Laws of Power, if I listen to like the Art of War, and I'm listening to that, then I'm gonna think like, you know, it's conquer, like, you know, there'd be like an ego type battle, right? And then if I'm listening to Full Peace, right, then I have a way to balance it. But I need to know
you want to give it some conflict as well.
The enemy, because if I'm going to be, you know, I know so many record deals of like people getting bad record deals. I need to know my business and stuff like that. So I need to know people who are willing to tear down your building, but I also got to know like how to build yours step by step, the proper way.
Okay.
Not tear down everyone else's. There's two ways to have the tallest building. You know, is build it brick by brick or tear everyone else's down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So so I believe it's necessary. I think you go through, but you take everything with a grain of salt that you can't measure. And that's what I'm avid about. Like, if I can measure it and use it in my life and I get good results, and it's morally bound with me. It's like, it aligns with my moral compass, and I can do it and it gets good results in my life. I'm going to practice that. But if there's something that's counterproductive, like Friedrich Nietzsche doesn't believe in God, right? But he's a genius.
Yeah.
And like, so it's like I feel like some people are like, you know, Christianity or this, I only permit myself to viewing one oath, one side of things, and I'm not open to seeing the different oaths, the other sides of things. So you have to be able to be open to everything, but not concluded to one, this is everything. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know anything. Back to the fundamental, we really don't know. So it's like, you know,
that much we know.
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Well, man, two things. First of all, we're getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. I think our viewers are like, man, why does he keep scratching? Because of mosquitoes in here. I want to shout out our facility. This is the Escape. Welcome to the Escape. This is where my band, the Uncommon Wealth, practices. And this place is in Benicia, California, and it's a fun place to be. Except that we left the roll-up door open while we had this conversation, so the mosquitoes are getting to us. But I really want to thank LBS for being our guest today. Man, this has been a magnificent conversation. I knew we were going to have fun, but I didn't really anticipate how much you would resonate with me. I really feel like I really got a charge from what you're saying. I feel really hopeful for your career, your impact on the world. I can't wait. I'm really glad to have met you today.
Just getting started.
Yeah, man.
Things, find me on socials, Lil Boss Steven,
Yep.
LilBossSteven. Check out my song with Lazy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony, Rocky Balboa. Check out my song Slash the Cash Cow featuring Crooked Eye. If you get my Instagram, like I said, LilBossSteven, there's a Shopify link to all the merchandise. I just released
Buy it all. Support the man.
And Beat M's Records. Check it out. Yeah, that's my socials.
All right. So this has been the Break It Down Show, breakitdownshow.com, Break It Down Show on all social media. I am John LG on Instagram and all that stuff, but I don't really post on Instagram that much. But you know, if Ruben's around here, I think I want to fade out with you freestyling and let Ruben drop a little something. Ruben's the keyboard player in our band, but he's percussive on the keyboards whenever there's a rapper around. So I'm gonna let him do that. And man, what a day. This has been great, man. Thank you.
Check out the fast stuff later. I'm gonna keep it to the mood of the personal development since that's what we've been on. So
yeah. There's Ruben. I'm gonna turn the camera at Ruben so we could go back and forth between you and Ruben. Oh, this is Steven's camera. There you go.
A little slower, but that was right. Just I like that beat, but just a tad. A little slower. Yeah. Hey. I'm sorry, man. Pick it up. I'm sorry, boss. Lately, back in the bed, lately I've been sad slipping. Back it, yeah. Pick it up real fast. I'm sorry, dog. I'm hold away. Lately I've been sad slipping, back in the bad habit patterns tripping. Will I listen, yelling, Lord forgive him. I've been mad but avidly sad, but savagely searching within my subconscious mind's labyrinth for that divine-minded, passionate man. A deep inside of him, out of it, battling, the stream paddling. What happened to him? Help me get it and fuck it, frustrated. I'm manic and panicking. Fuck it, I don't need you. I think I'll handle it. I'm filled with rage and anger and anguish and pain inside of them and honesty. Somewhere I lost my sanity, damaging, probably lost all of my honor. I'm honorary, possibly deep within these evil thoughts of this animosity. Toss and sleep, please free. My mind's dichotomy, lie to me. Why I feel is true, nothing that I do matters. But truthfully, I try to sleep, but my soul and my brain matter torn between sensuality and my morality. All right, I'm gonna drop some bars now. Like a chip of the missile, like a pop. Little when I spit it like a trip in a missile, I get a rip in a pencil, I get it in with the pen and begin splitting a vision like a nuclear fission. I'm a crazy motherfucker on a lyrical mission. Also got the venom in the middle of the riddle when I hit him with the rhythm and I'm middle with the venom when I begin with the center when I kill him with the cadence and I get it. I come a little medic. Everybody better panic because I'm about to turn the beat up. I believe in no one standing when I kill him in a minute. Better motherfucker fill it when I pin it because I love fucking fill it when I kill him when I spit. Riddle witty, really better when I spit it. And a motherfucker make it better die trying to get it when I pop it like a thistle. When I get it in the kitchen, I better get it heat like the middle of the griddle. Motherfucker make it better die trying to get it. I don't see my motherfucking mind super quick. Always high shit, you divine when I spit it. If I start in the sky, then I'll ask my limit. I dedicated while I'm elevated, motivated while I'm medicated, while I'm deprecated, insinuated, motherfucker tripping on the skirt, state of overstimulation while I meditate, levitate, captivated, motherfucker lacerate, eliminate, renegade, motherfucker penetrate, pin a page, every single motherfucking day, penetrate, motherfucker brain, I'm about to pick it up and hit the page, never duplicated, emulated, imitated, all obliterate, eliminate, celebrate the pin page, bitch masturbated while I'm innovated, when I kill the kitty. Hold on. I'm back at it, a rap addict with bad habits, come to mathematics. I've always been bad at it, so I stick to rap-matics on tracks like athletics. Man, I'm finna take a breather, but never been asthmatic. But I got the vision, the vivid vision. I'm vicious, I get living, no limit now. Well, I got a mission of vision. But I got a mission of vision, I'm vicious, I get living, no limit. They timid, they get to the ripping and spinning, rapidly ripping the wrist, the ripple is happily begin ripping ligaments, harassingly intimate. It has to be sassy, it's better than a masterpiece, and naturally happily smashed. The beat is actually intricate and interested in getting it in the balls harder than tungsten, dick till iridium. I'm about to catch a battery charge like a lithium. But I'll freestyle off the top, man. Killing it for the art and this sparking the hardest spot. A kiss, I break them apart in particles. Modest how hard my bars are hitting. Hard to fit in boxes, cause I'm so unorthodox. So spitting somewhere under the summit. I'm up in summer, bitch. I summon vision. I'm spitting under the sun, spitting one who discovers an ancient hieroglyph and writes the shit. I like the script and then like this shit, cause I like the ish. Ignite this bitch and then like this shit like it's nitroglyphs. I'm undercover, I'm under your mother, other motherfuckers in trouble. I'm coming from under the rubble. All right. Keep it going. Typical veteran.
Hey, thanks for watching the show. I really appreciate it. Right here, you can subscribe. Please do that. It makes the show grow. Hit that notification bell so you know which incredible guest is coming up next. Down below is the PayPal link. You can put a small subscription in. That is an enormous help. All that money goes right back into the show. And then right up over here are the next episodes you should listen to, curated by yours truly. Thank you so much for watching the Break It Down Show.
Sorry, I went backwards.